parents shape your values?
Sure. Well, I think it was, my parents were so adamant about education. And, I grew up in a family, in a household where kids were to be seen and not heard, And so we were, always, shuttered off to do the things that we were right. And it was a very strict household. A lot of that came from my parents did not have the opportunity to go to college. And quite honestly, neither finished high school. And so for them to have 5 children, and I'm the youngest of 5, acting out in school was totally unacceptable because they knew, it's a fine thread between, getting kicked out of school once and what can happen to you. I think what made it a little funny was because I really wasn't acting out. I was just trying to get my voice heard, right? And so I think they began to see that, I want to use my voice and, maybe I had raised my hand and she didn't pay attention to it, And so they started really understanding the dynamics in some of the classrooms, and it turned into a different story. But quite honestly, that would have been disciplinary action by my parents because they were so strict about education. They didn't want us to miss a thing. And so it was a beginning of us, really having conversations about what does it take to be excellent and what's the expectation of you. And they would constantly raise the bar for everything in our lives. And so for all 5 of us to go to college on the backs of 2 parents who, never really were able to do that and worked in the automotive industry was really heroic on my parents' part. Because my family would prioritize education, and we always had to do one other thing. So we all had an instrument that we played or a sport. So for me, mine was violin and piano. And we had to do that. And so constantly it was a conversation about not what grade you got, but what are you learning and how much are you doing at school. And, my dad worked 3 jobs, but for every event that I had in my life, he was always there. And I remember one event where I thought I was going to get, the gold ribbon, and I ended up getting an honorable mention. That's the other color ribbon. And my dad was still there, and I remember feeling guilty because I was like, he left work early, one of the 3 jobs, and all I got was an honorable mention. And it broke my heart, but he was so proud. It was just as if I just won the whole, award. And, it's things like that has made me, I think, a better mom because I know what my dad sacrificed for me, and it sticks with me. Having walked into a healthcare company in the middle of the pandemic, and I think that was a pretty gutsy move. Every day it's proven to be true. But I will tell you that I have been fortunate to really accumulate so many different learnings over my career. And I'm pretty adamant about making sure that I am clear about my role, what my intent is, and how do I bring together my toolbox. I think the one thread that I can pull through all of my roles and opportunities is my personal leadership. And that's the way I show up first and foremost, because most of these business problems that I face in these leadership roles, it takes character, it takes guts, it takes problem solving. And when I bring that basic, toolkit to bear in these different roles, it's been proven effective for me every time. So I think the other thing I will tell you is that whenever I take on a role, I become a real student of the business. I remember when I joined Walmart after being with Kimberly Clark for such a long time and being in consumer products and going into retail. And I decided my job was based in Atlanta, Georgia, but I decided to move myself to Bentonville, Arkansas and go on a learning journey for 90 days. And I stayed in a little small hotel and came into the home office there and really studied them during what I call the honeymoon period. And it was the best thing I could have ever done. I met people, I learned more about retail, and I really put myself in a learning position and not in a position initially of leadership. And I chose to learn and be an advocate and open-minded about what the opportunities were. I had growing up in the Midwest, you start work before you go to work, right? So trekking through 12 inches of snow, in elementary school and walking think about those influences, then I also think about my influence of attending Spelman College, women's college, historically black college, and in the South. And I think that really shaped me coming from the Midwest and being in an environment like for me, my gut is usually a very good barometer for me. And I felt good about this one, actually from the very beginning. I knew it wasn't going to be easy by any means, but I did know that my gut felt right. And then the second is my heart. And I knew what I would be able to do and impact in this role. So once I got that connection, it was full speed ahead for me.
I usually look at the opportunity to learn something new as I evaluate what's next for me. I really enjoy the learning process. I really enjoy starting something new, meeting a new company, taking on a big challenge, and that's really what I look at when these opportunities come my way.
Where are we actually in diversity and inclusion in the corporate setting? And I will tell you that this is actually putting a spotlight on the weaknesses and maybe the lack of forethought and intensity that we should always have maintained on this subject all along. One of the things that I think it's in highlighting for most of us is that our biggest opportunity is inclusion. Because, I have heard the stories so many times about there's, no Black talent out there, no Latinx talent for these particular roles. The talent is out there. I will tell you that it's underdeveloped because I think we have spent more time trying to reach numbers than we have changing our environment, where people feel safe, where they feel they can come to work and be their whole self, give it everything they've got, be their natural self, and be respected for it and applauded for it. And for people to recognize and appreciate their differences and understand that their differences, and if they're included in the conversations, that they're just a better resource for the company. So I think there's so much opportunity in the inclusion space because we focus too much on meeting metrics.
I'm not the person that will walk in the room and tell you my title, right? I'm just not that person. But when I'm in the room with like-minded people, I would just assume that you would think that I should be here, at least at this point in my life. And, Hoda, it's just amazing to me that sometimes I have to tell people who I am, and I refer often to a situation where I was at a meeting just for CEOs, right? Private attendance, under 25 people. And I had one gentleman ask me constantly, what did I do for a living? Almost like, why are you here, right? And it was so interesting to me because I said to him, this is a CEO function. I'm the CEO at the time of Sam's Club. And he just couldn't understand that. He must have asked me 20 questions like marketing, like sales, I was like, no. And so I was just amazed. And that was 2018, 2017. And I'm like, why are you asking me that question? So, and many times, I just find that we are still so underrepresented in so many different places that I understand it, but I feel like I'm on a mission to help people understand that, we're here. We're here to stay. Don't question my character or my being, I'm here. I've always looked at my leadership style. I feel like I have responsibilities to keep the faith. I find teachable moments in everything that I do. At least I seek to do that. And, I think that sometimes that's forgotten, because in these big roles that some of us have, you want to focus on your P&L and all these other things you need to do. But, to create an environment where people feel comfortable learning, it actually innovation lab within our building, and everyone in the building would come down and work in sessions. And what we brought in was the design thinking. We brought in the work from Stanford and went through that whole process for the entire company. And it began to change how everyone thought about not just the beverages we create. And actually, it's also a great way, Mary, to create inclusion because, you're all in it at the same time and you're mixing as teams together and different disciplines. And before you know it, you've got a lot of different people in there thinking about the biggest problems to solve for the company. Sometimes, you can feel like, it's a lonely position, because you don't see yourself in different environments that you're in. And then I look at myself personally and say, what can I do to change this? Because, it can be difficult at certain times. What I will tell you, though, is I think that the environment is opening up more to people recognizing the differences and appreciating the differences. Many times, I am called upon and asked to give my opinion on diversity issues. And I will be honest with you, I am as frank as I possibly can be because I do think I hold a unique position. So when I get in these settings, I take advantage of an opportunity to learn and educate those around me because I can feel it when they're unfamiliar with me or my culture. I don't hide my culture. I talk about it very openly. I feel like that is almost my second reason for being. Everybody has their purpose in how you get into a situation or environment, but I take advantage of it and do everything I can to teach and expose people to my culture and who I am. I learned probably sort of early in my career, I'd say maybe 5 to 7 years out of college, that I really wanted to bring my whole self to work, so I don't cover up my culture at all. And I think that that's helpful for me because they know how to count on me and what the expectations are in terms of interacting with me.
One of the things I've learned over the years is that when people think about their leader, they want to almost be able to predict how they think sometimes, right? And so I really try to focus on consistency of message and clarity of message, because the one thing I want more than anything else is I want people to feel very passionate about following my leadership. And I want them to be excited about it. So part of what I do is try my best to create the most exciting vision for my organization so they feel challenged, so that when we accomplish things together, that they are proud of their work and that we have a shared experience. And there's nothing like it when you have a shared experience with the people that work alongside you.
And sometimes I'm just a little embarrassed about it, not because the spotlight is on me, but I also think about, have I been bringing enough people along, because you can help a peer become a CEO, too. So, or someone to surpass you. This is not a competition or a race, we're better when we move in herds, and so I look back on this and say, I hope I'm not having this conversation, even as early as a year from now. It reminds me how important it is to give back and continue to mentor, find those moments and pull people along. What I do like about this appointment is that I do have a lot of women reaching out to me with very, explicit issues that they're facing that, I'm able to address, and I'm just happy they have the confidence to get me.
Every day, it's about trade-offs. Can we continue to invest in all of the technology that we need to have and still do everything else we need to do to innovate as a company? And so myself, along with many others, because there's some extremely bright, brilliant talent at Starbucks. I am so fortunate to have the kind of partners that I have there. But we created together an innovation lab. And in that innovation lab, we began to think about how do we change the engine of making coffee at Starbucks. And so we have baristas that love the beautiful craft of making a wonderful latte. And so they want to be seen doing that. But actually, we're pretty popular right now. And so in the morning, we have stores that will do, some astronomical number of coffee cups per minute, right? And so we began to look at a new engine at Starbucks. And so we introduced a new model where it's a pickup only store where everything is digital. And we've opened up several of those. We have 3 or 4 of those in our unit, but we just recently announced we're going to add more of these pickup units to our fleet. So the technology goes on and on with Starbucks. So it starts also with the stores, and then also too, relieving our baristas of having to do any kind of manual work, like manual scheduling. So all scheduling is automated, centralized planning and replenishment is underway. Everything that we're doing from optimizing the drive-through window. And what's so interesting is that going into this COVID experience in life where we're trying to create social distancing, everything that we had in our innovation pipeline, we've been able to bring it forward pretty quickly. So that's been part of our recovery plan. We had innovation plan 3 to 5 years out. We're now executing that by 18 months, we'll have all of that innovation out in the field. And so it's pretty exciting. It's around beverage innovation, the store innovation, and then what we continue to do with the digital flywheel. So, I'm very grateful for the work and the things that I learned at Walmart, because I'm actually bringing that forward at Starbucks. And it's exciting to have, be with a coffee company that's so digitally, sound as we are. So it's pretty exciting.
Yes. So there's a few things that I think about in this space. First of all, when you think about an inclusive environment, you think about, am I being heard? And, most people with differences, they want to know that you are heard and that you are seen. And I really applaud the companies who've been spending time just putting themselves on a learning journey, holding listening sessions, trying to make sure that we've got, different viewpoints when big decisions are made. There are some companies who are engaging their partner networks in ways that they've never done before. I think those are some early success factors that could lead us to different kinds of conversations. And I've been listening to a lot of my peers in different industries, and they're having their own personal aha moments. And they're actually checking themselves at the front door, saying, I never thought, I never knew, I didn't know what I was doing when I said X or when I did this, right? And so I think it starts with some very simple things. I'd say that there's a lot of steps to take before training and development, that's for sure. So those that are jumping quickly into training and development, I'd say put a pause on it and just get back to grassroots and hold listening sessions and then decide, what do you want to do? And then help those people of diverse backgrounds engage in those conversations about how they want to see change happen. They're the best resource for a lot of this and a lot of these discussions. I mean, I learned so much. I have breakfast sessions with the baristas and partners at Starbucks regularly. I just had one yesterday, and when my screen popped up, I had 9 diverse, randomly selected partners. We call our employees partners. And it was such a rich conversation, and they began to network while I'm talking to them, right? They were learning from each other. And this wasn't a diversity conversation. We were actually kicking off our new financial year at Starbucks. And so this was actually a business conversation and a touch base to see how you're doing while we're working remotely. And, it starts there with building relationships and learning people for who they are and engaging them and saying, I see you, I hear you. That goes such a long way that, I think if we do more of that, I even think the engagement and performance just goes through the roof.
I have had several similar comments to that, like, as if I'm a token. I have had that. I've had the comments that, you're not as smart as you think you are. I've had a lot of those, Hoda, and they've been painful, but they've been energizing at the same time. They really give me energy because I feel as if I'm going to teach a couple of lessons, through this, and I'm going to be my best. And so, when people ask, you're taking on a new responsibility, the first thing I do is I study like mad, right? I'm an agile learner. I constantly read, learn, and train because, sometimes there's not somebody sitting next to you saying, let me tell you this, let me show you this. That doesn't happen for me. It falls on myself. And so I've been that person that's had to self-develop, and I've taken on that responsibility. I really do look forward to the day where I'm not really the only in these rooms and environments. I'm doing a lot of personal training that happen. I will tell tell you the way I deal with this is, really, I'm actually no different than other individuals in the room, and I try and share that as well. My accomplishments come from hard work, come from exposure. One of the things I find myself doing, fortunate or unfortunately, is sometimes I have to run a few people through my resume, because I think they look at my titles and say, did she really do the work? How did she get there? But I have some absolute real lived experiences. When I was at Starbucks, I've worked the drive-through window. When I was at Walmart, I threw trucks at night so I could learn distribution, logistics, warehousing at those companies. So I've done the worst and the best of the jobs. Sometimes I have to remind people of that. And it gives me credibility that I've not been a token. I've not been granted these jobs. I've absolutely had to work very hard to get where I am. And so I find myself doing that. But, it doesn't bother me. I'm hoping, I'm an optimist, and hope that is not what the next person has to do. But for now, I find myself having to really go in a deep dive in terms of my experience and do a lot of storytelling about why I believe in what I believe in. And I get in a situation, I'm on the business roundtable, and we're getting into some really courageous conversations around the new infrastructure bill. Well, I happen to have a lot of experience in the space of what it takes to move goods across the United States. And, I've been fortunate enough to maybe share a little bit of that. And maybe people didn't realize that I have a background in that as well. So you can't be in retail and not understand supply chain logistics. The things being at Walmart is that, we got a chance to spend a lot of time in stores. And after a while, I can almost walk in a store and get a feel for the operations of the store. One prime example is if I walk in the store, I can tell if the employees are not proud of their unit. They'll immediately look down at their feet. So I know they're either not proud of the operation, they recognize who I am, and I'm about to hear the story. So what I try to do when I walk in these units is to kind of diffuse that, to say, look, I'm here to help. I'm not here to reprimand. So, I've thrown trucks at Walmart, which means unload at midnight. I've done that. And, I would enjoy getting behind the bar. I don't make the best latte, but I try my best to do latte art as best I can. It looks a little weird sometimes. But, I try to meet them where they are, because I feel so responsible that there's probably something that we did at the home office that's creating a bad outcome at the store. So that's part of it. But I've also, having a background in chemistry, I'm a little bit of an analytic. So you can kind of watch an operation and see what's flowing and not flowing. And then match it with numbers and data and analytics, and pretty much come out with a solution. So, understanding that we were maxing out in the morning, but then tons of opportunity in the afternoon, it was a chance for us to say, what's the menu in the afternoon? What's the customer looking for in the afternoon? Who's in the store in the afternoon? What's competition doing in the afternoon? And then, we were able to adjust and offer something different in the afternoon day part and begin to grow the business that way. So we dug ourselves out of a pretty deep hole back at that time. And, it's still pre-COVID, we were having some of the most fantastic results. And as you saw in our prior earnings, we're returning to recovery in short order. So, it pays off to be an operator. I will tell you, I say it's like the ultimate bob and weave. I've got to go high and create strategy and multi-year, create the vision, create a roadmap, give people something to aspire to, create hope. Then I've got to be able to kind of live in their shoes to know that when I make these changes and I suggest big major growth initiatives, I have to understand what is it going to take to get this team to follow me. And I'm really glad that I had some of the small jobs that I had, but I realized the reason why I've had some of these small jobs too is because quite honestly, there were times in my career where I was given the unfortunate work to do. And I always had to do some of the toughest, dirtiest jobs, and I had to do those. But it gave me a chance to learn, and I try and put it to work every day and look at it as a blessing that I got some of the smaller jobs, the unfortunate positions. That's my feeling on that. I am a huge supporter of a STEM background because I rely on data and analytics. I am I'll be really frank with you. You know, there's been some days where I've had to really pull myself up to say and do the right thing, you know, because I'm human too. You know, I'm a mom. You know, the Ahmaud Arbery thing really struck me hard. That one stuck with me. George Floyd murder stuck with me. You know, it's so interesting. I have all nephews and only one niece. And so all these black males, young black males are around me. And so I remain nervous and scared for them right now and, you know, wondering what more that I can do. But I pull myself up knowing that if I stay steadfast to set the example, engage as many people as I can in conversations, and use myself as an example to teach and educate, maybe I do have a way to begin to change these narratives and the views of people. The other thing I think that I've been really focusing on is getting people to vote. And vote in every election. I don't care if it looks like a school superintendent and you're, you know, just go vote, you know. And so I've been a pretty big advocate for that. It's the best way we can change and have our voice heard, is to vote. I think also too, I'm an optimist, and I think that there is something about a pandemic happening during the time of social unrest, during the time of some of the most biggest environmental issues ever between. In 1 week, we had fires, flooding, and storms all in 1 week across 2 different parts of the country. And then the outcome of this is to see the inequities of who gets help and who doesn't get help.
Sleep. Sleep is the cure of all evils. Over a period of time, putting your body and your mind at rest is the best thing you can do for yourself. I personally have been practicing that. I look back on my career and the time I probably averaged with raising kids probably 5 hours a night. I've pushed that through COVID, to 6.5 hours, and I feel like a new person. So just myself, I know that that's important, but the ability to put your body at rest and for it to repair is really important, and you get that through very good sleep and getting to that perfect REM of sleep. So sleep is number one. I like music videos, to be honest with you. I love music. I love dancing. And I will dance on my own, and so I know all the channels. I love live concerts. I missed live concerts during COVID, and that's the one thing I cannot wait to do. So, and I binged on that during COVID. I think back to my dad was such a hardworking individual, but one thing that he would always talk to all of us about was our integrity. But he would put it in the form of, make sure you